What's going on, everybody? You're watching GTSam. I'm Sam, and we are going to go ahead and dismantle the supercharger on my Cadillac. Now, I know, this is crazy. It's crazy. I know, trust me, but hear me out here, all right? Here we go. These are some of the details I've come up with. Now, we have some problems, and we can't fix them. Now, you know, this was done back months ago in November. It is now almost June, and we've been working on it so much, and there's been so many obstacles in the way. But, as you've seen, we've got very far. I'm so proud of myself and so proud of where I've come and how we've built this machine, this beautiful beast of machine, the Rhino. But why am I taking it apart? There's a lot of issues. That doesn't mean it doesn't drive amazing. Yes, it does. But could it be even more up here? Yes, it could. Do I have time for that? No. Look, life's here. And so I want to live a little bit more, do more car projects and get more cars in or out. We have some engine issues. Busting out oil from the seams like crazy. And no stop leak's gonna be able to fix that fully. Next is we got codes up the wazoo. We got the lean and rich codes both. And then we have throttle position performance sensor. We have the map sensor errors. And then this thing also goes into limp mode at some random times. Lately it's been pretty good. But look, if you have a supercharged car, my Jag for example, supercharged V6 rear-wheel drive. You can redline it. You can do what you want with it. It will not buck down and stop. It will keep going and will not go into limp mode unless there's something seriously wrong. But this is an issue that we created and we can't get out of it really. There's no fix for it. I brought it to the master tuner at Tuning Tech and we're pretty much done. I asked for his honest opinion and he said it's probably worth spending your time on something else. I agree. This is an American car after all, and as much fun as this has beefy power from the rear, but it's not a track weapon. As I've tried to in the past, as you remember, it was a lot of fun, but boy, if you bring something like the Jag onto there, whew, they'll knock this thing out of the park. We keep moving on with the list of goodies because we're going on to the issue of the idle. There's rare times it will stall, I'll be honest, but you can usually kind of work around it and get around it, it's fine. And again, we tried to correct the issue and it got better, but that's not perfect, unfortunately. Gas mileage is not great. But of course, I kind of expected that with a car with this kind of performance, so sure, that's on me. But we got those lean and rich codes and we're dumping a lot of fuel. And so it's just dumping out the back too a little bit. Yeah, that's a thing. The biggest, weirdest thing ever. It is. The transmission does not go into manual shift sport mode. I know you're thinking, like typing it right down below, like I don't know how to do this, so I do this and this and this and this. No, look, what you do, you originally have the car, slap it over in the manual, the numbers come up there on the shift indicator, what gear you're in. Up, down, you get to select which one you want to go into next. I do it, slap it over, nothing. And if I'm stopped, dead stop, slap it over, shift it up and down, nothing. If I'm going above about 10 miles an hour and above, I shift up or down, then it will go into the next gear or down a gear. And if you're in like third gear and you're going like 50 miles an hour or 40, it may decide to jump down to first. So you hold on like crazy and hopefully you're not in the rain at that point. So it's very sporadic and it'll kind of decide for you what gear you want to go into and then you got to go up, down, up, down. So I'd always decide to go up first, then downshift to see what it decides to go into. So I'll be in like 40 miles an hour and I'll shift up and then I'll make sure it's on the high gear. Then it goes to like fifth or something like that. I'm like, okay, down, 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 or something like that. It's very peculiar. I asked the tuning guy, no idea. Went to forums, no idea. Oh, it's weird. Yeah, it's weird, all right. So I don't know what that is. That brings me to a big problem, guys. A really big issue because this kit's not good. Yes, that's right. You heard it from me right here. The kit, yeah, that's all you need to know. That's all I'm gonna say about it because I'm trying to keep things respectful because I'm not gonna mention any names specifically. There's a couple of companies out there that do kits like this. This has been one of the worst projects on a car I've ever done in my life. I've done some doozies and they have been in the dead of winter, below freezing temperatures, or in the hottest of summers, 100 degrees, and nothing compares to this project and what the torture I have been through. I did it because I wanted to take the challenge on and see if I could complete it. I wanted to do it for you guys to see how easy or hard it was. Of course, provide all the tips and tricks and hacks for you too. We did that. And boy, it was painful. I sacrifice time, I sacrifice relationships with family, friends, my health, and what else? Knuckle busting, you name it. It was insane, mental strain. Okay, we all know I bought this kit for steel. I was not gonna pay around 8 grand for a brand new supercharger kit to put on this car. Absolutely no way. Paid a fraction of that. So we paid about 60% or so, 65% less than what a brand new kit would be. Now, where did this come from? How did it happen? Okay, so you might remember as well that this came from eBay. It came from a pulled working CTS sedan. And apparently this guy owed some dude some money and the car got wrecked. He just took the supercharger, gave it to him, and then sold it as a kit. Yeah, okay, that makes sense. Of course, I got it for a deal. We got it for about 37 grand. That's a good price. Glad I snatched it up. Everything was working. Everything looked great. There's directions out there from multiple sites, multiple vendors, and this is a ProCharger kit. I tried to match up as best I could with what we had, and I was like, oh, looking at this, hey, this is not that bad. You look at it too, you think bolt tie, hey, cool, cool, cool. No, 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 it's not. The pieces were mainly there. I had to buy the intercooler for a power steering pump. No big deal, $20. Okay, I found it on Amazon. And then I had to go buy the map sensor as well, the upgraded one. I had to buy some hoses, you know, probably like $10, $15. Not bad. I can live with that, okay? The crux of it, well, actually, okay. I had to make my catch cans as well, but I was already gonna do that, so I custom made them. And then I had the one of my check valves put on. So what are we talking about? $40, $50 right there as well. Okay, no big deal. All in, man, we're still like under 4 grand, and that's great. But I was installing this, and it took way too long, and I even tried helping out one other person that got in contact with me. He knew I was installing this, and he got a similar kit as well as me. Some pieces were missing. He could totally fill in the gaps here with those pieces. I was helping him along the way, and I kept warning him. I was like, hey man, this is a big job. This is a big deal. You better be ready for this. It's not for the faint of heart. Literally, I told him that. And then he started working on it, and he got into it. I tried to help him out, but he said, screw this, I'm done. Next, he ripped off the whole, what he got done, sold the whole kit that he bought as well to someone like nearby, and within like 2 days. So I told him that, like, I warned you, it's not easy. This is not for the faint of heart. And you could probably say, oh, you just need a shop, you need better tools, or you need something like this or other, or you need to use some gum. I don't know. But whatever it is, if you experience this, you might know, or you might be really lucky and you might have somebody to somehow be some kind of crazy mechanic guru to like want to do this stuff. Cahoots to you, cahoots to them. And if you got it working perfect, wow, that's amazing. And you better tell me how you did that, because I don't think it's really possible. Okay, so we have it all put together, and that's great and all. Runs and drives, sure. But now we have the issue of check engine lights. So you would think that this car would be California compliant, and also then maybe it would be inspection ready for states like Pennsylvania, where I'm at. Well, it's not. And how do you get those lights off? No idea, because there's a lot. There's a lot of lights that will not let you pass inspection. And that's a problem, because you could cheat the system, which is completely illegal, or you could spend a lot more time, a lot more money, and hopefully try to get those things fixed. You may not, so you may have just wasted a bunch of time and money. So that is quite the pickle you get yourself in right there too. Did you get the codes off? Because I sure didn't. There's another problem. The tune I got from the company that sent me the flash after I installed everything, well, it didn't work. Right. And so I even used HP tuners, and well, you know, I installed everything correctly, followed the directions to a T, and we still ended up with a little bit of a lemon here. And I followed everything that we should have, and it ran really poor. I brought it to my tuner, and he even said to me, he's like, I don't know how you drove this down here without blowing up your engine. I know there's no warranty on this kit, but come on. Wow, that's something. So this really makes me kind of wonder then, how good and reliable is this kit? And the companies that do make these, how reliable and certified are they? And this is just something to think about. Now, I could be completely wrong. Okay, I'm completely wrong. Let's just assume I'm completely wrong for a little bit. Maybe I installed something wrong. Maybe the person before me had some kind of mods on here, some kind of computer chips or something done to the ECU and PCM that would mess everything up for me. This is possible. Or I got a hose wrong, something like that. I don't know. But me and the tuner, we went over the whole thing, made slight tweaks here and there. And then that's it. And it just wouldn't make sense. But here's the other thing too. I have the stock MAF sensor on, okay? I installed the flash software, the tune from said company that they gave me, and then car turns on, car works. Supposed to have the upgraded MAF sensor from the CTS V and the other like turbo supercharged cars of the GM era kind of thing. You're supposed to turn that on because it has different bars in it to be able to handle the pressure. I installed the new one. Then I went ahead, tried to start the car, nothing. But isn't it supposed to be you installed the new one and then you have the flash, you should be able to start the car? Why is that? That doesn't make any sense at all. And then I put the stock one back on and then start up normally again. So how does that even make any sense at all? I don't think it does. But again, I could be wrong. I could be, maybe, probably not, maybe, I don't know, possibly, whatever. Just my thoughts here. Now, we come to the spot. What do we do? What do we say about this whole thing? Well, you guys have heard my opinions and thoughts on this kit. Again, these are my thoughts and opinions. You could do and take them however you want to. Maybe I got a lemon. Maybe something is really out of alignment. Maybe something's just really off. Something small is completely messing everything up. But I think you just deserve to know the facts about this whole build. This is the honest truth. And this is the nitty gritty from the other side of the camera. Now, you guys haven't gotten to see. I mean, you got to see all the pain and the sweat and the blood, man, that went into this when we were building it. Of course, the good side is, okay, we did it. We didn't really blow up the engine. We tuned it. We gained 100 horsepower, very smooth power band, and sounds good. It sounds amazing, and it's so intimidating. It's so cool, for sure. But there are some really difficult things you have to overcome with this whole thing. Just keep that in mind. Now, if you feel you can do this, then by all means, go ahead, do it. Tell me how you did. I'd love to know about it. Please do. This is a controversial opinion, and this is all subjective to just me and my car, but just hearing from the forums, hearing from my friend I was talking to when he put his whole kit on there, this is not, again, for the faint of heart. So you gotta realize that, and you have to know what you're getting yourself into. With that, everybody, if you like today's video, make sure you give it a thumbs up right there, and make sure you subscribe for more content quite like this, and much, much more. But of course, if you have any questions, leave them down below, and I'd love to talk about it and help you out as much as I could, everybody. But for right now, thank you so much for watching. Where do we go from here? Well, next video is gonna be all about taking apart this whole kit and selling both the car and the kit. But guys, thank you so much for watching. This is GTSam, and I'm gonna catch you next time.